So I'll start now. Everyone being online. Okay. Good afternoon, orators in the cloud. The theme for today, mental fitness, really made me think about how important it is to get a grip on yourself in these difficult times. It has been overemphasized how things have completely changed in this period. For example, on this day, 4 years ago, RCB lost the final against Hyderabad, and now they haven't lost a single game this year, which shows things are really changing. But jokes aside, the fact that we take some time out to meet every week and refresh our minds after balancing our office work and household responsibilities shows how mentally strong we are and how well we strive to maintain ourselves. With that, it is time to declare the 26th meeting of Orators in the Cloud open. And now I would like to lay down some of our usual rules before we proceed further. Please try to stay away from your phones and stay focused on your laptop screens. It would be helpful to have them on silent while it is your turn to speak. Please refrain from talking about topics such as sex, religion, and politics. Disclaimer, this meeting will be recorded and uploaded to YouTube. So if anyone has any concerns, please voice them now. All right. With that, I would like to call upon our club's presiding officer, Toastmaster Abhijit, to address the meeting.
Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters. Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished on time. By Lao Tzu. Being born in a country that always is obsessed with running this race of life ever since you're born, courtesy your friends, courtesy your family, and courtesy everybody else you meet in the school. I think there is a time that we should stop and really figure out what is the destination of this life. Can anybody think for a moment? This so-called race of life is going to terminate at a point when everybody is going to die. Do you really want to win that race and be the first one there? Well, I guess not. If you are, sure, you have your race, continue to do that. But I think it is really important to understand that apart from racing, you also need to live. And to live a healthy life, sometimes the over-focus and over-emphasis on physical fitness takes away the most important part that runs this body, which is the brain, the mind. So I think this theme is so apt, not just in this COVID-19 era, but also in general in our lives, and can definitely help us give us some perspective about what are the areas that we should really focus on in our lives and the areas that we should maybe put out of focus for a while. I'm really looking forward to this theme today and to make us aware more about and enlighten us about this specific and very important topic. Please join me in welcoming the Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Supriya.
Thank you, Toastmaster Abhijit. Good evening, one and all. Should I say good afternoon, one and all? I welcome you all to the 26th OITC Toastmasters meeting. Can all of you unmute yourself and greet everyone with a good evening, please?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, all.
Thank you. Now, in the same spirit, I would request you all to do something else. None of you should think of a chocolate for the next 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, anybody thought of a chocolate? Or anybody who didn't think of a chocolate? Oh wow, there are few saints, all liars. I don't know what they are. Yeah. So when I asked you guys to unmute yourself and greet each other with a good afternoon, you did so. But when I asked you to not think of a chocolate, most of you have thought of a chocolate, right? So what made you think of a chocolate when I asked you not to think of it? In the first case, your brain had instructed your body to unmute yourself and then greet others. But in the second case, what happened? Like, you think your brain didn't instruct maybe the brain to not think of a chocolate, right? So at this point, we have established that it's our brain that has control over our entire body. Now, what are we doing to protect our brain? What are we doing to, make our brain fit? Now, as soon as this question popped up, the first thing that I did was to obviously go to google.com and browse. The first link that I got from the almighty Google is that brain is not a muscle, but treat it like one. When I opened the link, the very first line was, mental stimulation or exercise helps the brain grow stronger, faster, and better. Looks like Junior Horlicks ad, right? But that's what the link mentioned. Now, what kind of exercises should we do to strengthen our brain? What should we do to activate both the right and left side of our brain? What should we do to increase the logical thinking, creativity, memory, and most importantly, what should we do to relax our brain? In today's Toastmaster session, we will hear what each of our role takers do to achieve this mental fitness. Now, when I browsed for the list of brain exercises, the most commonly found one was solving puzzles. I have been solving puzzles from my childhood, but still my friends call me 2 minutes late. Maybe because they feel that, I react only after 2 minutes. It takes me 2 minutes to process anything. I have been solving puzzles, but still people call me 2 minutes late. I would like to believe that maybe if I was not solving puzzles, they would have called me 3 minutes late. So, okay. Now, okay, now that Vamshi has shown me that card, I'd like to move to the next segment. We have a prepared speech, table topics, and evaluations planned for today. And with no further delay, I would like to introduce the general evaluator, Toastmaster general evaluator. So when I asked him what he does to relax, his answer was very simple. He listens to Arjun Singh's songs. His answer was simple, but he came up with a theory behind this, and I was speechless after reading his answer. These are his exact words when I asked him the question. He said, I firmly believe that if you think from your heart, you are giving your brain rest. Implication being that when you are emotionally active, logical thinking takes the back seat. And what better way to get unnecessarily emotional other than hearing two Arijit Singh songs? I would like to hand over the screen to Toastmaster Sumedh to explain more about, to talk about his role and more about how did he achieve this ability that now his heart started thinking. Over to Toastmaster Sumedh.
Thank you, Toastmaster Supriya. I still believe in what I said, and I will be the general evaluator for today. So just remember the term general, nothing specific, all general. When I searched the synonyms for general, they were broad, imprecise, inexact, rough, sweeping, overall, loose, basic, approximate, non-specific, unspecific, vague, hazy, fuzzy, woolly. So yeah, that's my job. And no, in all seriousness, my job will be to note down the events which happen in this meeting and provide a report for it at the end. The specific part of this will be taken care by a tag team. Tag team, that is the timer, the Grammarian, and the AhCounter, not in that order. So I'll first of all like to bring out the next gentleman, the timer of the day. Now, when we asked him what exactly did he do to relax and increase his mental fitness, he said that during the lockdown, he watches movies and short films for relaxation. And then he, more importantly, went on to distinguish that when he's stressed, he relies on basic comedy bits. Popularly, the Brahmanandam videos, which we see on YouTube, is my guess. Presenting to you, Superstar Vamshi from last week around. Superstar Vamshi, also the timer for the day. Take it over, Vamshi.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sumedh, for the wonderful introduction and the title as well. Okay, like Sumedh mentioned, during the lockdown or even before lockdown, I used to do the same thing for my mental fitness, and I have been taken care pretty well for the mental fitness, but I completely procrastinated for the physical fitness always. So I don't really take care of that part. Also, from past few days, what I'm doing extra for the mental fitness thing is I'm joining the Toastmaster session. So that is helping me to interact with multiple people and have some fun elements. And we discuss some fun elements, and even the table topics were of more fun. Okay, coming to the duty for today, so I'll be keeping an eye on the time for today, whether the meeting is happening as per schedule. So we have one prepared speech today, and for the prepared speech, the expected time is 5 minutes, and the grace time will be till 6 minutes, and the overtime will be 7 minutes. And similarly for the table topics, the expected time will be 1 minute, and the grace time will be additional 30 seconds. And the additional time, extra time will be till 6 minutes. And okay, sorry guys, looks like some internet connection issues, and I'm delaying a lot. Okay, for I'll be flashing the green paper whenever the time is expected for the prepared speech and table topics. I'll be flashing the yellow sheet or yellow paper when we are exceeding the grace time, and I'll be flashing the red paper whenever we are exceeding the overtime. Uh, thank you everyone, and handing over to Toastmaster Sumedh.
Thank you, Vamshi. Okay. Moving on, the AhCounter for the day. When we reached out to her and asked her what exactly does she do to relax and to get prepared mentally for what she has to do next, she says she eats a lot of badam and she prays to God. However, she also acknowledges that in these tough times, this situation is causing her practices to fail in some or the other way. Now hold on, I'm not going to make this a R&R for her. What we can do is listen to her and make sure that we follow her advice regarding the AhCounter. The AhCounter for today is Shreya.
Thank you, Sumedh, for that great introduction. I want to clarify a little bit. I pray to God, yes, but I pray to God specifically that the badams work, you see, and that they make my memory better. But that's not been happening very well. So if you guys have any tips, then I'm all for it. Especially if there are tips where I'm sleeping and I wake up and my memory is better, that's just the win, you see. So about my job today as an AhCounter, how many of you guys are doing this these days? That somebody is talking to you, right? Somebody's talking something very serious to you, and you cannot help but just pick out everything that they're saying, the number of hours they're using, and the number of those ugly fillers and pauses and everything. Yeah, right? So that's happening to me too. I don't know whether I should be thanking Toastmasters or cursing it, because before I used to only correct people's grammar mentally in my head, and now I'm sitting and correcting the number of pauses that they're taking extra too. So that's basically what I'll be doing officially today. What I am unofficially doing these days, I'll be counting the CRPF mistakes. C stands for crutch words, that is R stands for repetition, so if you repeat so, and so, like so on. P stands for pauses, if you have any unwarranted for pauses. And F stands for filler words like and so forth. Hoping that we get less count of CRPF today. Handing back to you, Sumedh.
Thank you, AhCounter. Moving on, the grammarian for today is Akshaya. I'm going to say it. She's Akshaya, and she listens to music to relax, from Beethoven to Bosley to Bieber. any kind of genre is fine with her. She says that it helps her disconnect and reconnect to reality. Oh, wait. Whenever I speak, she hymns. So she wasn't listening to me? All this time, she would disconnect whenever I speak, and the moment I'm done, she connects back again. Let's not do this to her this time around. But now that I'm aware, I'll be looking forward to talking to you, Akshaya. Take it over, Grammarian of the day, Toastmaster Akshaya.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sumedh. So basically, I also mentioned a couple of lines which he forgot to describe when he gave me the introduction. So what I wanted to say was that there is so big mistakes, but I hope that you people don't make it. So I'm here to keep a note of the grammatical mistakes or somehow help us better our grammar. And most importantly, I'm a huge fan of words. So I'm looking forward to hear some very good phrases and idioms and some kind of interesting usage of or interplay of words from all of you. And I'm also here to introduce the word of the day. So going through the past few meetings, it looked like we did not show a lot of interest in using the word of the day, maybe because it was difficult or it was hard to catch. So I thought I'll pick something really simple. At least in my head, it looks a bit simple. So the word of the day today is stolid. So stolid means, like, if you're talking and it's an adjective. So if you're talking in terms of a person, it describes a person who's kind of stable, he's calm, he's composed, he or she is calm, composed, dependable, and not very emotional. So this is what you would this is how you would describe a solid person. So if you say that he is a very stolid and serious man, it means that he shows very less of emotions and he is kind of dependable and calm and composed all the time. But if you're going to describe a thing that is stolid, then it means that the thing is uninteresting and it is kind of normal and very ordinary. So I hope to see some hits for the word of the day today. So, and the word of the day is stolid. Thank you. And with that, I pass on the dobby to the chief juror of the day, Toastmaster Sumedh. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Akshaya. We, all of us, the tag team and I, with the speech evaluator, will join you back at the end of the meet. Hope we have a non-stolid meeting. Thank you. And back to the Toastmaster of the day, Supriya.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sumedh. We'll definitely watch out for the tag team and you. Okay. So where did I leave earlier? I think I was talking about puzzles. You know how puzzles. I'm not sure if it helped me or not. Right. So I thought just to make this interactive, riddles to our brain, because told if you try to solve puzzles, your brain becomes active. So if you're ready, I will put forward the first riddle. So whoever has the answer, if you feel your answer is right, or if you have a funny answer, please feel free to unmute yourself and give the answer. This is something that belongs to you, but others use it more than you. What is it? Hello? Hello? Hello?
You're audible, Supriya.
We can hear you.
Sorry. Yeah. So the riddle for you is, this is something that belongs to you, but others use it more than you. What is it? Anybody who has an answer to it?
Your name.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Okay. I have a puzzle for you. This one is, there are 5 sisters in the room. Anna is reading a book. Margaret is cooking. Katie is playing chess. Maria is doing laundry. What is the 5th sister doing? Anna.
Playing chess, because chess cannot be played.
Complaining.
Wow. Yeah. And the next one is, this is again a riddle. I have lakes with no water, mountains with no stones, cities with no buildings. What am I?
Bangalore.
Map.
Very good. Either our OITC club members are filled with mentally fit people, or I picked really easy riddles.
Or this is staged.
Sorry? No. Okay. All right. Now moving on. Let's move to the introductions part. The next person to unmute himself is going to be our speech evaluator. When I asked him what is it that he will do for mental fitness, he said practically nothing. He said, I should, but I don't. As a result, I have some not so good days with my mind. And then I end up watching YouTube on loop. So, well, this person has a pretty good reason to watch videos on YouTube. And this is none other than Toastmaster Hind. Over to you, Toastmaster Hind.
Thank
Speech
you.
evaluator, Toastmaster.
Yes, speech evaluator. Speech evaluator number 1, although number 1 is redundant because there is only one speech. Very good evening. Once again, I don't know the distinction between afternoon and evening, so I'm going to call it evening because the sun is almost down. A very good evening to all of you. This 26th meeting finally sees another speech from our club, which will this time be presented by our president, Toastmaster Abhijit. Funny thing, me and Abhijit, we did not think upon which speech is this going to be. So in my head, this speech is L1P3 or the researching and presenting speech. So I am going to read out the purpose of L1P3 speech and hoping that that is the speech that comes out eventually. So the purpose of the project is for the member to learn basic research methods and present a well-structured and well-researched speech on any topic. The things that I will be looking out for is the structure of the speech and the detail and the depth of the research, citations. Obviously, I'll be looking out for the basic things as well, the speech modulation, use of language, etc. But my main focus will be on the depth of the research as well as the structure of the speech. With that, I'll hand it back to Toastmaster Supriya. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Hind. Speaker of the day. This person does something that I've always wanted to do in my entire life. He told to relax himself, he does meditation for 20 minutes per day. And for any other time, he listens to music as a stress buster. So now I would like to request him to unmute himself and take over the screen to deliver his L1P3. And he's none other than the president of our club, Toastmaster Abhijit. Toastmaster Abhijit, flying high and falling low, flying high and falling low, Toastmaster Abhijit.
Thank you, Toastmaster Supriya. I'm going to just set the stage for a little bit. I'm going to try something different today. So please bear with me. You can't hear me. I'll try to have a better understanding of the frame of reference. So I'll definitely make sure that I'm visible, but I'm not sure about when I start losing audience. Mic testing, so far so good. Can everybody hear me? All right, perfect. Timer, please go ahead and start the time. Good evening, Air France 447. You're cleared for takeoff. Runway number 2. Roger that. Thank you. Tonight. Airplanes have always fascinated me. The whole idea and the concept that you can sit inside a machine and be transported from the safety of the land and hurled up into the sky beneath the clouds has consistently filled me with thrill and fear. There are some things that have always intrigued me, such as how do the airplanes fly and what all can go wrong during the course of a flight. So I did some research. The pilot said to the co-pilot, flaps down, full throttle. As soon as the full throttle mode engaged, the jet engine came into action. And as it started sucking the air in front of the engine and pushed it down in the compressor section, a combustion action took place, causing huge amount of thrust that caused the airplane racing down towards the runway. At the same time, the flaps being extended down and the natural curvature of and the concave curvature of the wings created a perfect example of Newton's third law of motion, wherein the incoming air flowing over the wings started getting pressed down. Naturally, an equal and opposite reaction started acting on the front side of the wing, and a lift was starting to get generated. Soon, with enough momentum, enough upward thrust, the airplane overpowered the gravitational force, and on the night of May the 31st, 2009, Air France Flight 447 lifted off into the sky, completing a near perfect takeoff. At around 1:35 a.m., it left the Brazilian airspace and entered into a dark spot where there was no radar coverage over the Atlantic Ocean. In about 2 hours, it was supposed to reappear on the radar screen of the Senegal Air Traffic Control on the west coast of Africa. However, it didn't. Air France 447 with 228 passengers on board just vanished without a trace. The flight model that was used in this case was the Airbus A330. It was an airplane which was so technologically advanced that the aviation experts called it a plane that flew itself. For most long-haul flights, the pilots of the modern airliners fly the plane by a mechanism called fly-by-wire, where majority of the decisions of flying the plane are taken care of by the autopilot. The autopilot runs the plane, or rather flies the plane by pulling in data from a bunch of instruments, and finally is able to control three main components of the airplane. There are ailerons, which actually sit on the backside of the wings, both the wings, and the second and the third are the rudder and the elevator respectively. Now, once you're at 36,000 feet, you really don't have much to do other than just flying the plane in a stable altitude and pointing it towards the general direction of the destination. The Air France crash investigation finally revealed what happened on that fateful night. Once the flight reached the equator and was flying over the Atlantic Ocean, it bumped right into a thunderstorm. The thunderstorm was so severe that ice crystals started forming on different components of the plane, and including one most important component, 3 pitot tubes. These are cylindrical tubes that are outside of the plane, right below the cockpit. And they have one main function. They record the airspeed and relay it back to the autopilot for making critical decisions. Without this critical information, autopilot just gave up and threw the controls back to the pilots to fly the plane with a loud blaring warning in the cockpit. A sudden intense situation created by this incessant stormy weather, the instrument readings, which were no more reliable, and the loss of awareness of where the horizontal plane was because it was a dark, cloudy night, created a lot of confusion and panic in the cockpit. Knowingly or unknowingly, the young co-pilot at the helm pulled back on the control shift, which effectively raised up the elevators at the tail section. Now, again, the Newton's third law of motion, this created a resistance on the backside of the airplane. Because it created resistance on the backside of the plane started going down from the other side and up. The nose pitched up and the plane started slowly climbing up without the knowledge of the young co-pilot. Now, unfortunately, this is not a great aerodynamic position and has to be complemented with enough thrust to keep the plane, it stalled. It's enough time to save the airplane, but it didn't happen. And the plane started falling down at a staggering in the Atlantic Ocean, killing everybody on board. No air crash happens because of a single event. In fact, it happens with a series of events, and any event in itself can completely change the outcome of the flight if a timely action is taken. In this specific case, the final report of the investigation revealed that an over-reliance on automation by the aviation industry and the vulnerable pitot tubes were the main causes of the crash. All the pilots had to do was just to fly the plane, and that didn't happen. However, the silver lining is whenever there have been any crash in the aviation history, it has completely altered the way the planes flew. It has radically changed some established practices, triggered some industry overhauling steps, and in turn made flying a very safe experience. So the next time you sit in that metal bird that takes you to the skies, remember, maybe you will learn a bit more. You will know a bit more about the lingo that the pilots use, or you have a better know-how of what your airplane is doing. But don't be scared. Even in spite of whatever I've just told you today about the crash, you would still be, even though you're enclosed in that metal tube and flying in the skies with no control over your fate, you are still way, way, way safer than any other mode of transport you would ever take in your life. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Abhijit. That was very informative. I think all parts of our head got activated now. Yeah. Now, I have a few puzzles for you if you're ready. This is going to be fun. The first one is, what month of the year has 28 days? Hind, if you know the answer, please state.
All the months.
All the months. All the months.
All right. The next one is, there are 3 doors in front of you. You have to go through one of them. Behind the first door is a fire dragging. Behind the second one, a gunman lurks. Behind the third one, there's a lion that has not eaten anything for 3 years. Which door would you choose?
The lion one. The lion would be dead by now.
Very good, Arjun. All right. So when I was browsing, I found an interesting thing about how to activate our brain. Okay, it said whenever you're talking to someone, try to observe 3-4 things, like the color of shirt that they are wearing, if they're wearing a hat or something, if they have some glasses. Now, if you make this a habit, then that will be an activity or an exercise to your brain, and it will definitely help your brain strengthen. So that's just one tip that I recently got to know, and I'm going to follow that. Okay, without any delay, I would like to introduce our table topic master. So when I asked him about what will he do for mental fitness, his answer was participating in table topics in Toastmasters as a table topics master or a speaker or an audience, or to come up with creative excuses to not to attend the meeting. Everything demands mental fitness, and that is also maybe one of the reasons that he's attending the Toastmasters meeting. Over to Toastmaster Ram, the table topic master.
Thank you, Toastmaster Supriya. Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you to the most eagerly awaited session of today's meeting. Table topics ideally help us practice the art of improvisation and to think on our feet. Let's check how we'll all do at that. A short speech between 1 to 3 minutes, 1 to 2 minutes, being creative and engaging the audience is ideal. If you further want to embellish your speech, you can do 2 things today. Make sure you don't forget the word of the day, which is toilet. And if you do that, the grammarian will be really happy. She told me privately that she has an unsigned integer, 32-bit wide, where she's counting. Let's see, we've not really started the counter, but let's do that today. Finally, a tip if you want to avoid getting stuck with repetitive statements, etc., you can use this tip. Use the 6 W's, the who, what, why, when, where, and how to make your speech flow really smoothly. With that, let's get started. The first volunteer, please. We're all role takers today, not too many choices. I saw one person who joined as a guest, but I don't see him anymore. So see who's the first volunteer, and then we can go from there. Anyone? Anyone? So we'll start by picking somebody in the art of doing nothing to keep mentally fit. Can you tell us how that happens?
Sorry, I missed you. Did you call my name?
Yes, Ram called your name.
Oh. The art of doing nothing to keep yourself mentally fit is not a very good art. Let it be known from the horse's mouth himself. It is not. If you do nothing, nothing bites you back. Being fit by doing nothing is the perfect recipe of disaster, just like not studying and appearing for exams is a perfect recipe of passing, I guess. So if the question was how do I employ this art of doing nothing and succeed in being mentally fit, well, I'm not sure what gives that impression. I'm pretty sure it's not the stolid exterior of mine, which I don't think there is much of. But there are days when I struggle. There are days when I'm not struggling much. The fact is that I'm not conscious about it. I'm not conscious about keeping up my mental health. If I was, I would do something. The consciousness comes in two phases: me knowing that I have to do something and me doing whatever it is that is to be done. Knowing happened long time ago. Doing is yet to happen. Well, then that sums it up. The art of nothing, please don't do it. With that, thank you very much.
Okay, now that he's inspired us how to give a table topic speech by doing nothing, and we have the next volunteer, please. It is so simple, do nothing. Anyone, any volunteers? Shreya just turned her camera on, so we'll pick on her. Shreya, can you tell us how painting helps you to stay mentally fit?
How painting helps me stay mentally fit. Okay. So this is a really funny thing about me that I have, I think, about 20 paintbrushes at home and a box full of paint, like this size box maybe, full of paints and acrylic paints, glass paints, you name it, it's at home. Because I'm live in a very artistic family with a lot of artistic aunts and mom and grandmother and even my brother for some short duration of time. However, you will not find me having used any of them in the recent 6 years, 7 years maybe. As a kid, I used to a lot and it was very therapeutic. Now, you see, it's the age of social media. What is even better than having to paint and draw yourself? Look at someone else doing it online. So now, since YouTube is here with all its different plethora of content, my choice here is to just go on YouTube, watch someone paint for about 15-20 minutes, feel very good about myself and that painting and the other person, and that's it. So this is a hack again. For you to paint, you don't actually have to paint, you just have to visualize the painting, and that's it. You're calm. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
We had speeches as different as painting and doing nothing. At least now, can we have a volunteer? Someone is going to volunteer to speak about the next topic.
Can we cross volunteer?
Okay, Abhijit. So, the art of staying mentally fit by working with a 3-year-old singing nursery rhymes.
Okay. Well, as you all know,
No
I have a
aircraft.
3 years. As I know, I have a 3-year-old at home, and sometimes I get this turbo boost of mental energy re-energization without even asking for it. Sometimes that takes me towards the direction of actually feeling re-energized, and sometimes it actually makes me pull the remaining of my hair that I have on my head. So that obviously doesn't go a long way to recharge myself towards mental fitness. But yes, one thing that I've off late realized now, my daughter is at an age where she actually talks a lot, and she also sings sometimes. There are many things she sings online, and there's some things that she's heard in the school. One rhyme that she always sings is the wheels on the bus goes round and round. If you have some young nieces, nephews, or other young children that you know, you would have heard this. So I think it's very rhythmic, and it's just something that the music gets to you. And even though you don't necessarily play or hum that with the intention of regaining mental fitness, it works. And on top of that, when I see the wide smile on my daughter's face and her cute little hands really, dancing a little bit, and also being in ecstasy, which is something that I just haven't experienced for a long, long time. I think just because I'm an adult now and adulting sucks, but I mean, that's something that I can't do. But that really, really brings my mental fitness into the right zone. And I think from the time that I discovered this, I always make it a point to try to do it with her whenever she starts coming. That's about it.
Anyone else? Anyone else would like to give it a shot?
I think this is Vamshi's favorite territory.
Okay, over to Toastmaster of the day.
We still have time if anyone wants to participate.
Go for it,
Vamshi,
Vamshi. I know
go
your
for it,
heart is
Vamshi.
telling you.
Go ahead.
Arjun.
I'm okay. Someone needs to count my time at least. Okay.
Okay. Ram, topic for Vamshi. Ram, can you hear us? Oh,
Okay.
maybe Ram can just
Ram.
post the topic.
Ram, I think Ram told like he can't hear anything.
Okay. So Ram has given this topic: staying mentally fit by staying up late at night. Yeah. Somehow my mind gets activated at night 10 o'clock, and even my working hours looks like it is between night 10 to 12 or 12:30, and my productivity is very high at that time, rather than even I sit for like 4 to 5 hours in the morning. I don't know the reason, but somehow probably this is coming from my college days, where we used to have our late night studies just before the exam. And then if you recollect, most of our group studies or everything will happen at night before the exam, and we used to sleep around 3 4, or depends on the time. So probably it might be coming from there, staying up late at night, and even for the interviews, everything we tend. So I got that mindset continued. And sometimes I feel sleepy, definitely in the morning. Sorry to say, but sometimes in the tech talks. Just a sec. Okay, power is off, but I can still continue to speak. Yeah, especially in the tech talks, I might feel sleepy, but somehow I'll try to keep activeness. Okay, yeah, that's what from my side. Thanks, Ram. Yeah.
Having a very bad experience, things are pretty disjoint, but 1 minute is up, and I think Vamshi signed off. So with that, I'll hand it off to the Toastmaster of the day, Supriya, if you will pick it up.
Thank you, Ram. Thank you for for the topics that are really related to the theme, uh, and also to the audience for the table topic speakers for coming up with such funny speeches. Um, all right, I'd like to call the general evaluator, Toastmaster Sumedh, to run the evaluation section. Over to Toastmaster Sumedh.
I was just applauding for myself. Well, narcissism maybe, but let me start off by bringing out the first evaluator for today, Toastmaster Hind. Toastmaster Hind, evaluator for today for the speech.
Yes, the first and the only and the last. Thank you very much, Toastmaster Sumedh. Flying high, falling low. The title kind of introduces us to the idea of flying in general. So your mind is already set to it. And when the speech begins with the kind of words that you hear sitting in the aeroplane, you are set in the scene right away. And that, I think, is the best kind of beginning that a speech can have. Congratulations, Toastmaster Abhijit, for being one step closer to completing your level 1. Beginning the speech in this way, he set the stage for all of us. He invited us. It was like a pseudo aeroplane where he invited all of us by speaking those words at the very beginning. The flight is ready to take off. Good night. The tower said good night, and we went ahead with him on the fateful flight. The only difference being the fateful occurrence didn't happen to us. The second amazing thing that I liked about his speech was the use of props. It is the first time that I'm seeing someone use props in an online meeting, although I have not seen a lot of online speeches, but it was really very engrossing. When he was explaining about the 3 petotubes, I hope I'm pronouncing them right, which are used to sense the environment, and the autopilot works based on that data. He could point to that. When he was talking about the rudders that autopilot controls, he could point to that, and we could relate to it. Okay, that's how a plane flies. That's how a plane runs on the runway and takes the flight. It was very engrossing. The use of props made it even more so. And the structure, it was a chronological structure. It was a very taut structure. We began with the flying of the flight, and the whole incident that occurred later on, ending with the accident and the further investigation. So all in all, there was very good research done. The structure was really good. Now on to the things that I think can be improved about this speech. First one is citations. As I said in my introduction, I am looking for citations of whatever data is being presented. Although Air France 447, that's not a data that needs to be cited, but a data like this is the safest mode of transport still needs citation. Or who conducted the air crash investigation? Those kind of statements need backing of citations or organizations, whoever conducted the investigation. The second thing that I think could have been improved was pace. I honestly did not feel the 7 minutes going by of the speech because it was just such a good storytelling technique from Toastmaster Abhijit. But I think if we could have gone more in depth about the air crash investigation, it would have been just amazing. With that, once again, congratulations, and one of the best researching and presenting speech that I've heard, although I have not heard many, but a very well job done. To have a really great speech, the beginning matters very much. The setting of the stage matters very much, and that Toastmaster Abhijit did very well. In a researching and presenting speech, the citations are also very important, which is something that this speech could have done more of. Thank you very much. Back to Toastmaster, General Evaluator Toastmaster Sumedh.
Thank you, Toastmaster Hind. I'll now call upon the timer for today to give his report.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sumedh. So we started the meeting 3 minutes late, and followed by that, Supriya's intro was slightly delayed by, like, she took overtime of 90 seconds. And then even my intro, I took a couple of minutes delay than expected. So overall, the meeting got dragged by 10 minutes later. Then the first speech by Abhijit, he started the speech, and it took exactly 7 minutes 45 seconds. And followed by table topics session, Hind took 1 minute 30 seconds, Shreya took 1 minute 15 seconds, Abhijit took 1 minute 45 seconds. Probably I have taken approximately 1 minute 30 seconds. And then Hind again, first prepared speech evaluation, he took almost close to 3 minutes 10 seconds. So right today, at least we are following on time because the not many table topic sessions were there. Hopefully we'll end the session within timelines. That's what. Thanks, Sumedh. Thank you. Handing over to Toastmaster Sumedh.
Thank you, TM Vamshi. I'll now call upon the Grammarian of the day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sumedh. Thank you, Toastmaster Sumedh. So it is 3, but anyways, a big thank you to everyone who tried to use it, and thanks so much, Ram, for enforcing it in the table topic session. So let me take the bottom up approach. I'll start with Ram. I think today, Ram, I mean, as far as I know, my grammar is also not that great, so I have tried my best to live up to the expectations. So Ram went completely clean today, but I really liked one word which he used today, which we don't often get to hear every day. The word is embellish. So it means like you to decorate. So I think it is one good word that we can use for decoration. So embellish just means garnishing. So I would just like to take a minute or a moment to laud that, because I felt it was really, really good to use it in everyday conversation. And next, let me go to Abhijit. I must say that his table topic session, it was flawless. And he used some really interesting words like ecstasy, and the way, I think it came straight from the heart, so it was very descriptive, and the way he described it, I think it did not need, like, it was not scripted, it was straight from the heart, and the beauty in the description, it was just way beyond words. So I think it was one of the flawless, I would say impeccable table topic session that we have had. And I would also like to appreciate some really good words which you used in your speech. And let me start with the title: flying high and falling low, the alliteration. I felt I felt like it was on the point and it really conveyed what you wanted to say. And the last few, I would say, I think you call this imagery, a metal bird that takes you straight into the skies. Wow, wow, what a description. Thank you so much for this interesting usage that you did. And let me also point out a couple of other things which I felt were really, really interesting. Confusion and panic in the cockpit. So you use a lot of alliterations which kind of made you nail the point, and you also use several interesting words which we don't get to use every day, like radically changes industry, overhauling, and most importantly, a plane that flew itself. I think it was very simple, but still it gave away the point. And apart from that, I would also like to mention a few things which I felt maybe you kind of it did not fall in place. Maybe you felt like in like there was a place where you mentioned like it led to a series of events. I think you indirectly meant because of a series of events. I think several other conjunctions here and there, I think it would have made it almost impeccable. And moving forward, Hind, I think Hind is mentioned me and Abhijit initially. I think he meant Abhijit and I. And then a couple of other things is where you meant matters very much. I think you meant matters the most. So a couple of little rookie mistakes that all of us do here and there. And apart from that, it was a great job. And thanks for the wonderful evaluation. Moving on to Vamshi, I think Vamshi, just one tip which I have for you is try to minimize the use of article the. I think like apart from that, you are very clean. I think because of the of like incessant pouring of the word the, I think it kind of makes the statement look like a bit incorrectly placed for the for the listener. So I think you can just try to minimize the use of the word the, which would make you sound even more which would make you sound more interesting as well. So that is, that was really rude. I think I would say like which would no, how do I put it? Okay, which would make you sound more lovable as a person. Okay, so sorry, I don't know what to say. How do I say it? Don't laugh, Sumedh. Okay. So next, sorry, I do not know how to put it. So next, moving on to Supriya. Supriya played it really smart by conducting a lot of games. I think you tried to escape from, like, this was a very smart plot that you designed for yourself, and you kind of played it safe as well. So several things which I thought could have done better. I think that you said a line where you said help your brain strengthen. I think you meant to keep somebody mentally fit. So I think several normal words that we use and we misplace them here and there when they come out like impromptu. And last but not the least, it's my honor to give a report on the English teacher of the house, Shreya. So and as usual, she ensured that she used some interesting words even in her table topics. Some of them were therapeutic, plethora of content, some very interesting usage of words which not many of us use in our daily conversations. And on that note, I would also like to mention a few things I think which got, I think, a slip of the tongue maybe. So you said like I think I am alive or I am living, something like that. I think you meant I live. And then other thing is you can't help it, pick it. I think you meant you can't help but pick out. So several slip of the tongue here and there. And but apart from that, I would like to say that it's my honor to give your grammarian report. Thank you so much. So with that, I think I'm done for the day. It was, yeah, it was all over the place, but I'm sorry. Thank you so much for that. I pass on the topic to Toastmasters.
Thank you, Toastmaster Akshaya. I'll now call upon the AhCounter for the day, Toastmaster Shreya.
Thank you, Sumedh. Today, firstly, let me say my role today was not a solid one. It was filled with too many events, too many page turns, and too many notings that I had to do. Partly because we were not on the good side today. We have had around 120 to 150 CRPFs used, and I would say this is a high one in a long time. The good things first. SA and presiding officer, that is Arjun and Abhijit, in your introduction, I tried very hard, but I could not find a single CRPF mistake in whatever you guys spoke. So congratulations there. Sumedh also not a lot of, as the GE, right? Yeah, as the GE, Sumedh also not a lot of CRPFs. Most of the ones were crutch words itself, that is and and I noticed that they were happening at the beginning of the sentences. So maybe that's something you could work on. Supriya, as the TMoD, you had 10 plus. I think a lot of CRPFs today, but most of them were in a single category, that is just crutch words. And again, it's very targeted. It's only at the beginning of the sentences. The rest of the sentence is crisp, free of any other error. So I think it's a very targeted feedback that you can work on, that when you start a sentence, you start it without an or an Vamshi, not a lot of, I think you were very clean, at least less than 10 CRPFs. Most of them again were crutch words. So great job there. Abhijit, what I noticed about your speech was that there was a lot of repetitions. You didn't use any other kind of crutch words or fillers or pauses. They were all accurate, but you had a lot of repetitions. It looks like you know what you want to say. The thought is there, but the starting of the sentence is not formed yet. So you start with something and then you start it again, something of that sort. So maybe that is something you could work on. And the same thing I noticed about Grammarian Akshaya. So you also, you have a lot of repetitions of so and like. So you start a sentence with so, and you say like, something like that. Maybe if you could cut your sentences a little shorter, you would have lesser of repetitions, because you know that you have the thought already formulated in your mind. You know what you're going to say. But if you take a beat, maybe take a note of what you're going to say, it'll be better. You did have 10 plus CRPFs, but I think most of it unraveled in one small section where you also kind of unraveled a bit, but it was fun. It was a good grammarian session. I think, yeah, that's about it. Ram, and the table topics also, there were not a lot of crutch words. It was 10, below 10 for everybody. So that's a great job, guys. And Ram also, I think you just used one. That's about it. Your speech was also pretty clean. And that's all I have from my side. Thank you, guys. Back to you, Sumedh.
Thank you, Toastmaster Shreya. Now I'll be presenting my report. While I do it, I just checked the agenda. I have been given 5 minutes, 5 whole minutes. So I plan to use all these 5 minutes. Now, before I kind of get started on my report, I want to ask one question to all of you who are present here. 4 minutes I will be speaking. The last 1 minute we'll devote to that question and discuss the answers, right? Was this the best Toastmasters virtual session that we have had? Okay, don't answer, just think on this while I go on reading the 100-page report that I have written as of now. Okay, so the last 1 minute we'll discuss on that. Okay, cool. So let's before I go forward discussing any other thing, I just want to give a shout out to the speaker for today, Toastmaster Abhijit. He is also the presiding officer for this club. So I was really looking forward to his presidential address. And like every other presidential address, this was more or less on a sober note. At some levels during the speech, I felt that Abhijit did something that I could have never imagined anyone doing. He explained to me basic physics concepts along with conspiracy, YouTube, tell-all, video, curiosity. You kind of get that. Both are like the extreme spectrums. He brought it together. And I was actually rooting for the plane at some point in that session. And this is absolutely true. When this video gets recorded and put up, the moment he drops the plane, you just see my reaction to it. I was like, what? Oh, wait. I kind of knew what happens, but then I was so taken aback by that. I have seen people drop a mic. Dropping a plane is an entirely different concept. So kudos. Another thing which I noted was, unlike Air France 447, you passed all the tests and with flying colors. So kudos there. There were some other things that went on in this meet. Maybe this is the first time I have been observing it, but I just wanted to bring into notice. When Vamshi was talking about sleeping, the lights went off. Did anyone see that? And when Akshaya was actually giving Vamshi his feedback, Vamshi held a yellow card and grudgingly turned it over to red. So I was that was curious. Timing nonetheless, but that is with respect to that has the general sense of this meet, a little bit on the unplanned side, but yet somehow hilarious in its own ways, right? Toastmaster Supriya tried bringing in new puzzles, something which I have not seen in a previous Toastmaster sessions before. Again, we are only developing, so we are going to get better at this. The one thing which I realized was none of us today spend the amount of time that we usually do for a Toastmasters meet. That was visible. I will start off by saying that I am the one who will take the responsibility for myself, because I just looked at all the info 10 minutes before the session started. 10 minutes before the session started should also be the time we should actually log into the Zoom sessions. That did not happen this time around. So again, there are a lot of constructive feedbacks which can come out of this. But before we go into that, I just want to revert back to the 40 and 4 minute and 1 minute thing, wherein I just want to get answers out of you people on whether this was the best session or not. And whatever your answer is going to be, I need some logic behind it. It is absolutely fine if you kind of have something negative to say or positive to say. Just define the logic which is behind that reasoning, something of that sort. So who is going to go first? By the way, this is not a table topic speech. Totally fine if you screw this up. Yeah, Ram, go ahead.
The past is history, future is mystery. Today is the best, always.
All right. That's the spirit, Ram. Okay, anyone else? Yeah, Abhijit, you can go for next.
Yeah, I think one thing that stood out today for me was the bonding that everyone just had. I mean, the comfortability with each other and the fun element kind of comes out easily when that is there. And I think this was something that I wanted to say for the final presidential address, as you call it, by the end of the meeting. But I think that was the highlight. It's just much easier to improve and have fun when you know you're in a safe space and you form bonds with people and you just have fun. So I think that was definitely something that was, if not the best, kind of brought it at the very top, in my opinion.
Okay, Toastmaster Hind, you wanted to go next?
Well, everybody has praised it, so it only seems fitting. I don't think it was the best.
Okay.
But, and no pinpointing of fingers. Being not the best does not mean not being good. It was really a great meeting, amazing speech, amazing table topics, really engaging Toastmaster of the day's whole content with the puzzles and all. And the Grammarian, the AhCounter, and the timer, they really brought out some good points as feedbacks. But best, I think in pieces we have had better.
All right. So I'll just give a small verdict on this. Now I've heard some opinions here. Is there any, before I do that, is there anyone else who wants to speak up? It's okay if we go a little bit ahead of ourselves at this point. It's absolutely all right. Anyone else who wants to speak up? Okay, then I'll go ahead and close this off by saying that this was not the best session, because we have had much better sessions before. I'll be honest on this. But there was one thing that we topped in this session. That was the effort we put in this session was the minimum to what we reaped out of it, right? And that has to showcase something, because I remember earlier in September last year when we got started with this, I remember that there was one person who was about to give a speech and they did not, by the way, we had this at 3:30 at that point on a Thursday, if I remember it right. Before that it was 12:30. the whole morning session, they could not work because they had to give a speech that day in Toastmasters. And there were people who would come to me behind their backs, tell me that, hey, because you're a Toastmaster does not mean that you don't work for the entire morning session, right? At that point, it did not feel right to me. But today, I kind of realized that no one actually is that formal about this anymore. To some level, that is really good. To some other level, it is kind of depressing that we have degraded ourselves so much. But having said that, that is what we are aiming for eventually, that we speak up our minds in a way that is understandable by the larger media, right? So I think we are achieving our aims. Yes, we have got bumps in our road with Toastmaster Akshaya and Shreya pointing it out, that we are not using the words as frequently as we used to before, not are we using good grammatical and correct syntaxes, but that is absolutely fine as long as the effort reduces while the content keeps up at the same level. So with that, I would like to say that this was one of the better meetings we have had compared to what we had before, provided what we did for the meet, right? So don't take it the wrong way, take it the right way. And we can only build up from here. Thank you, and I'll be signing off. Now I'll call on the Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Supriya.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sumedh, and all the evaluators for such a comprehensive evaluation. The voting links are already pasted on the chat window. I request all of you to go please vote for the best table topic speaker, evaluator, and the speaker. While during the voting is in progress, if we still have time, I have few more puzzles to you, or we can. All right. Yeah. So this is a riddle. What question can you never answer yes to? What is the question that you can never tell yes to?
Are you dead?
Sorry, are you?
Dead.
Okay, good one. But I had a simpler one. It was like, are you asleep?
Are you dead?
No, apparently there have been times where I have woken up and said no and then gone back to sleep.
No, that
I
means
would
you
like to condense that. I when I fall asleep on the sofa randomly. So
okay. Yeah.
Just one more thing I would like to point out. I was actually thinking on terms, do you not exist? But again, it's the same thing, right? In the other way.
Like the next one is a funny puzzle. Which is heavier, a ton of bricks or a ton of feathers?
Both weigh the same. Both of them are a ton. No?
Yes, Akshaya, you're right. Okay.
On which planet are you weighing it?
On Earth, Ram, I don't have access to any other planet. Yeah.
Are you talking mass or weight?
Sorry, Ram?
Are you talking about the mass or the weight?
The weight. Oh,
The weight will be different.
the weight. So this is a riddle. I'm tall when I'm young. I'm short when I'm old. Who am I?
Candle?
Yes. Yes. Hind, if we have sufficient votes, we can close. All right. Yeah. All right. Any guesses for the best table topic speaker? Best table topic speaker. Guesses, please.
Shreya.
I guess Abhijit.
Abhijit.
There, I got the answer. Abhijit. Congratulations, Abhijit. All right. Best speaker. Guesses, please.
Abhijit.
Yeah, same.
Abhijit.
So it's like Abhijit. Congratulations again, Abhijit. Best evaluator.
If there was Abhijit, he would have won this also. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, he was not there.
Best evaluator guesses? Anybody?
Sumedh.
Akshaya.
Yeah, there I got the answer. Akshaya, congratulations, Akshaya. All right. Thank you all for bearing with me. Over to the presiding officer, Toastmaster Abhijit. Thank you.
Thank you, TMoD, Supriya. Well, this bunch loves to talk, isn't it? And well, that's why we are here, right? Interestingly, we spent, I think, more portion of the meeting on evaluations than we did on table topics. Well, just food for thought there. I think Sumedh brought up the agenda. An agenda that gives Sumedh 5 minutes to speak has to be wrong. I think we need to look back at the agenda and how the GE got 5 minutes there, because I think that's not the convention. Although we enjoyed it, but sorry, Sumedh, that's not really the right way to set the agenda. So anyways, one thing that I want to bring up here, which has been a feedback coming from all different meetings that we've had, we've still kept like 1 minute for the initial introductions of the different roles. And that was before we actually came up with the concept where we have a theme and the speaker is supposed to speak a bit about the theme apart from talking about the responsibility. So I think that calls for the agenda to be overhauled, and we need to account for those time, the proper timings, whether it's 2 minutes or 3 minutes, so that we stick within the schedule. So I think VP Ed, Hind, just ensure that we keep that in time, keep that in mind for next setting up the agenda for next week. It doesn't help that we set it in the last hour or so, but at least we'll have to change the agenda ahead of time and ensure that it's taken care of. The other thing I just want to prod everybody here, I think I touched upon that bonding aspect, right? I hope it's also a sign that we are beginning to embrace this online way of meeting and speaking up and discussing and having fun. Having fun component is coming again and again. Hopefully that goes a long way to bring people back. I think that's kind of the checkbox is there. We just need to continue doing that. The other aspect of signing up for speeches, I think I've been going after Supriya for a long time to pick up a meteor role. The biggest unfortunate reality is that somebody comes back and takes up the role and does such a brilliant job, and you are just asking yourself this question: why didn't this person do it before? Why was this person holding themselves for such a long time? I think this is something that is relevant for everybody here. If you have looked for some motivation at some point of time earlier, I think you just need to look at Supriya right now, not because of anything else, but because I think she hasn't been an officer, but still she has been kind of pushing these roles for a while. Supriya, hopefully you will not do that moving forward. And for everybody else who's yet to do that, please make sure your imagination of the fears and how you'll come across is just overrated. It's just not, you're just way better than what you think you are. So please take that step and sign up. That's the sole reason we have put this one tab which says future roles and speech sign up. I think this is also a time where we should start thinking about giving online speeches. I would definitely not tell all of you to go ahead and buy Bluetooth headsets like I did, but well, if you really want to work on that aspect of standing in front of the audience, maybe you might want to do that as well. It's not a bad investment at all. But having said that, at least sign up for that speech, whether it's 1 month down the line or it's next week. Please do that. That's the only point. Only then you're going to start preparing for it. Otherwise, it's just not going to happen. Same thing for TMoD and their meteor roles. We are struggling with finding these roles, and by the time Wednesday comes, almost everybody is, not ready to take up those roles at all. So please, right after this meeting ends, go ahead and sign up for a role for whatever time in the future it is, just to make sure that we don't have to scamper for roles, and you also prepared well in advance to sign up to kind of prepare on some aspect of it. Okay. Anybody, any takers for TMoD for next week?
It has already been taken, Abhijit, unless you want to steal it from me.
Oh, perfect. Actually, I was going to throw you under the bus 2 weeks ago, but I thought you were busy. I thought you were busy pushing the most important features into the Lima in release. So I think it made sense to wait. But now that you have grabbed it, great. So anybody who wants to take it up the 2 weeks from now, please do that now as well. And let's try to have this practice in this meeting and continue forward. The last small thing I want to say here is about that bonding aspect that we talked about. I think it's very critical according to me. There are so many people in HQ whom I came to know because of Toastmasters from different groups, from HR. And now if I have to go and get a new offer letter, I know this person who can kind of come back to me faster than anybody else's request because I knew it from Toastmasters time. And there's similarly so many other developers and so many other engineers that I've just formed these really, really nice and warm and fuzzy bond with because of Toastmasters. I think this group is coming together. Just continue to doing that. We don't be disheartened by the less attendance as long as we are fulfilling our own self created plans for ourselves. That's all it matters. And we all have to remember, if it was so easy, everybody would have done it, right? It is not easy. That means it's short-term pain but long-term gain, and we just need to continue going down that path with that mentality. All right. Well, the weather has turned really good as it has been for past few days in the evening. I hope you have a great weekend, and we'll all see you next week. All right. Bye. Take care, guys.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.